Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of His Grace Gaurachandra Gopinath Prabhu. He will be sharing the nectar from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha from chapter number 59, titled Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Over to you, Prabhuji. A title Summer in Montreal. Prabhuji, you are able to hear us, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I'm able to hear, but unfortunately my video stopped working.
Oh, okay.
Can you try to unmute? I don't know. You try to mute. Okay. Sometimes it has a problem. That's I switched on that time itself.
Yeah, that time it was working fine. Now I think it is.
Otherwise, I have to log off and log in. What should we do?
I mean, if it is 1 or 2 minutes, yes, we can wait, Prabhuji. Otherwise, we can start.
Okay. Krishna help me.
Yeah, now it is visible, Prabhuji.
Somebody's again. It's gone. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadramayi Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Anantade Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Anantade Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Gaur Premanande Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamagyam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandegam Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadodam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshadarine Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate grim Yat kripa tamaham mande Shri Guru Deenadarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, welcome to all of you for today's Prabhupada Lilamrtha. And I seek all the assembled Vaishnavas give sufficiently blessing so that today I'll be able to speak relevant to Prabhupada Lilamrtha. So this chapter is 59. We are reading from chapter 59, Summer in Montreal. Prabhupada is taking rest in Montreal. The background is that Prabhupada could not able to continue in US, America because of the visa issues. So Prabhupada decided to come to Canada, Montreal, and he was trying to apply visa for both Canada and US because his disciples are just new. He want to stay for some more time. However, Boston, they've told that Prabhupada has to move out, and they denied visa for him. So Prabhupada is staying in Montreal. So the entire scene is entire chapter we're going to see how Prabhupada spent his time in Montreal. That is the background. So the first paragraph starts with Prabhupada is there in the Montreal temple, and also about 5 minutes away he had his own apartment. Prabhupada, and most of the time Prabhupada seems to be humming this wonderful prayers of Kulashekara Alvar. And he used to sing this song, and nicely, and the devotees used to hear, what is Prabhupada singing this, something like new. And Maharaj writes, Satsurup Maharaj writes that this is actually Prabhupada wrote 20 years back. Mundamala Stotra is something which he had translated, written commentary when he was in India, for one of the Back to Godhead magazine. And Prabhupada has kindly, wonderfully translated this wonderful literature called Mukundamala Stotra. To give a little background about what is this book, why did Prabhupada translated this, right? So this is a King Kulashekara Alvar on the right hand side. If you see, this is a personality who has become Alvar later. He's a great Vaishnava. So he used to, we all know that he used to hear Rama Katha. So whenever Rama is fighting with enemies, he will get all his army. He'll say, "Oh, Rama is fighting alone. Let us go together." Like that, there are a lot of pastimes, and you want to go go to Rangasthalam, which is there in Trichy, right? He was ruling in the Kerala province, and he wanted to come to Srirangam, Trichy, and eternally stay there. But his ministers thought, oh, what will happen if this king goes? Who will take care of the entire provinces? That time he was ruling the entire Chera, Chola, Pandya, everybody is under him. Big dynasty. So they're all worried. If he goes to Srirangam, he will never return back. So then what they did is every day they used to send some 4 or 5 Vaishnavas to his, he will start every day. He will say, today I'm going to I want to go to Trichy Srirangam. Then he will send 3 or 4 Vaishnavas. Then Kulashekara will think, oh, better than serving Lord, is serving Vaishnava is greater. So you don't go. Next day, the minister would send another 4 or 5. So this was going on every day. And the Kulashekara was trying to go out, then immediately 4 or 5 Vaishnavas comes. So this was keep on happening. The number of Vaishnavas has increased too much, and the kind of privilege they were getting, the kind of treatment they are getting, some of the ministers were jealous. Oh, this see this devotee somewhere they came, but now they are given more preference than our ministers. So one day the Rama Janmashtami was happening, Ramanavami was happening. They were doing Abhishek, and they made a plan to steal some of the ornaments of the Lord, put it in a pot, so that, and blame the Vaishnavas so that they can be removed from the place. So they went and complained to the king saying that, see, this Vaishnava stolen the jewels of the Lord. By the way, is Kulashekara Alvar is incarnation of Kaustubhamani, what the Lord is wearing. And they said, your devotees have stolen. Then Kulashekara Alvar got really wild, and he said, if the devotees have really stolen, you bring a pot with a snake, venomous snake, I will put my hand. If it is true, let it bite. If it is not true, it will not bite. Immediately put his hand. That is the conviction. That is the love which he had for the Vaishnavas. So, and finally, he did one day decided to go to Srirangam, and he came with his daughter. And the Utsava Murti, what we see is he's also become a father-in-law of the Lord. Like Periyalvar, Kodai got married to Lord Ranganatha. The Utsava deity also on Ramanavami, they come out, and with his daughter he came and he married his daughter to Lord Ranganatha, the Utsava Murti. Then he stayed there and he glorified the Lord. So this Vaishnava is thinking, he also has love for Tirumala, right? So one time he was thinking, oh, let me, I want to be permanently staying in Tirupati. Then he was thinking there is a pond near to the temple. So he said, let me become a crane or something like that, the bird. I can stay there forever. Then he thought, okay, what if I have a wings, if I fly away, the bird has chances to fly away. So I might fly away from Tirupati. So let me become a creature which doesn't move out of this place. Then he became a fish in the pond. I thought, okay, let me fish in the pond. I can't go out anyway. I need to be there in the pond. Then he thought, okay, what if the water goes off? I die. So let me become a tree in Tirumala. That would be better. He thought he'll become a Champaka tree. Then he was thinking, what if I become a proud that I'm giving very fragrant flowers to the Lord if I become Champaka tree? let me become a thorn bush somewhere in Tirumala. Then I will not have this kind of a pride. Then he was thinking like this, and he thought, okay, it is a cold place. Somebody might cut the bush, thorn bush, and make a fire, bonfire, and I may not be there. So he was contemplating like this. Okay, then let me become a top of the mountain. Then I need to be there always. Then he thought, okay, what if the youth, the Vaishnavas could not able to climb, and being the top of the mount, let me become a river. Then he thought, okay, river also might dry up. And he was thinking how to serve the Lord in different ways. Then finally he said, let me become a stone, a step in before the Lord. If you all go to Tirupati, take darshanam, there will be one step. So that's Kulashekara Alvari became that step so that the Vaishnava can also step in and also he can have a darshan of the Lord. Such a great personality. Even today, if you go to Kerala and other provinces, those who follow Kulashekara Alvar, every day towards Srirangam, they'll keep our 4 steps because uh, he encouraged everyone in the country to go and have the darshan of the Lord. Such a great personality has written this wonderful Sostra called Mugundamala Stotra. And especially this verse, what I'm displaying is what Prabhupada has been singing and glorifying. This you just meditate on these few verses, then you will understand why Srila Prabhupada has taken effort to translate this. On top of it, there's so many literatures are there because Prabhupada most of this literatures in Alvars, it's all written in Tamil. This only one which is written in Sanskrit by Kulashekara Alvar. गुह्यते यस्य नगरे रङ्गयात्रा दिने दिने तमहं शिरसा वन्दे राजानां कुलशेखरम् श्रीवल्लदेति वरदेति दयापरेति भक्तप्रियेति भवलुण्ठनकोविदेति नादेति नागशयनेति जगन्निवासेति आलापनं प्रतिपतं कुरु मे मुकुन्दा जयतु जयतु देवो देवकी नन्दनोऽयं जयतु कृष्णो वृष्णिवंशप्रतीपः जयतु जयतु मेघश्यामलकोमलाङ्गः जयतु पृथ्वी वारणाशो मुकुन्दः मुकुन्दमूर्धना प्रणिपत्य याचे भवन्तं एकान्तं ह्यन्तम् अर्थम् अविस्मृतिस्तव चरणारविन्दे भवे भवे मे तु भवत्प्रसादात् नागं वन्दे तव चरणयोर्द्वन्द्वमद्वन्तहेतोः कुम्भीपागं कुरुमपि हरे नरकं नापनेतुम् रम्या रामा मृदुतनुनन्दनेनाभिरन्तुं भावे भावे हृदय भवने भावयेयं भवन्तम् नास्ता धर्मेण नवशु निचये नैव कामो भभोगे यत्तत् भव्यं भवतु भगवान् पूर्वकर्मानुरूपम् एतत् प्रार्थ्यं मम भगुमतं जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि त्वत्पादाम्बोरुगयुगगदनिश्चलभक्तिरस्तु दिवि वा भुवि वा ममस्तु वासो नरके वा नरकान्तकप्रकामम् अवतीर्यश्चारणारविन्दौ चरणे तु मरणेऽपि चिन्तयामि कृष्णत्वदीयपदपङ्कजपञ्चरात्रम् अद्वैतमे विशतु मनराजहंसः प्राणप्रयाणसमये कपवातपित्तैः कन्तावरोदनविधौ स्मरणं कुतस्ते. See, this Alvar are praying like this, and Prabhupada has written this favorite verse elaborately. In this Lilamrtha also Prabhupada is explaining to his all the his disciples about the meaning of this Lord. Most of the time we will have a question, Prabhu, we will not be able to remember the Lord. There are devotees, pure devotees, Maharajas we see living in the accident. They will not be able to remember the Lord. So what is the solution? So here also we can see that the Alvar, Periyalvar also writes similar stance. He says that the able man, they will all take your shelter, And you are given, after all, you are given a shelter to the elephant, Gajendra. Why don't you give it to me? And he says that during the death, I will not be able to think of you, but appodek ippode sullivitan means I will chant now. And Prabhupada gives example Rajahamsa, which is always would like to play with the lotus stem. So he says, like Krishna's lotus feet, how this swan is trying to play around, concentrate his mind, remembrance. We know we have been hearing from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu how the importance of remembrance of the Lord's pastimes. So like that, let me do it now. During the death, I will not be able to remember, nor I'll be choked with prana prayana samaye, the traveling when the prana goes leaves, kapavata pitta, it will gur, like it will make a sound. Prabhupada writes all this in the Lilamrtha, Satswarup Maharaj, and he's explaining all this meaning to the wonderful Vaishnavas, saying that how one can remember the Lord at the time of the death. So like this, Prabhupada is spending his time in Montreal, explaining the details of Mukundamala. So sometime we think there are a lot of other things which we need to read other than Prabhupada books. There is nothing required outside Prabhupada books. Prabhupada has given everything. So Prabhupada has translated Bhagavatam, he translated Chaitanya Charitamrita, he written Nectar of Devotion, he wrote Ishopanishad, he wrote Mukundamala Asto. See, Prabhupada was inclusive. He want to cover every living entities and every part of the devotees to come. Because, if you would have heard Chaitanya Charan Prabhu class and the question answer session, he mentioned one technical term, Prasthanatraya. So what happens is, Prabhupada is very systematic. It's not that he just randomly picked up, wrote some books. And, Prabhupada, while he was doing up to few cantos of Bhagavatam, he stopped it. Then he said, let me do Chaitanya Charitamrita in case if I die without completing, if I complete Bhagavatam, if I don't read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it will be incomplete. So he gave a priority to Chaitanya Charitamrita, then he came back to Bhagavatam. So why Prabhupada was writing Mukundamala Stotra? Why is written Ishopanishad? There are so many Upanishads. Why Prabhupada took only Ishopanishad? It is just that in general Vedic society or any other Sampradaya, anybody want to establish any Tattva, they need to be based on this Prasthanatraya. Means you have to take something evidence from Shruti, something from Smriti, something from Nyaya. Then you establish your point, what you want to say. Then it is accepted by the scholarly people. So Prabhupada wrote Ishopanishad, this out of 108 Upanishad, to establish, because Shruti, the Upanishad, all the Upanishad is part of the Vedas. So Prabhupada took one Shruti, Ishopanishad, and he wrote. That's why if you see in our Bhakti Shastri, we will have Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, like that, because it's systematically Prabhupada has written it. And since Mahabharata comes under the Smriti part of it, even though it is Krishna has spoken Shruti, but Bhagavad Gita is considered as Smriti part of it. And for Nyaya, for Vedanta Sutra, it is a natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada touched everything, nothing is left. And also to include the South Indian Vaishnavas, devotees, he wrote Mukundamala Stotram as well. So everything is there in Prabhupada books. We don't need to go anywhere else to search for anything. We can dwell into many, many years of life in reading Srila Prabhupada books. So it's saying June 3, 1968, Montreal. So Prabhupada actually becoming very healthy, because a year back he got a stroke. Actually, Prabhupada got a stroke. So he was trying to recover. So he was, health was getting improved. He was rising early. As usual, he was dictating Srimad Bhagavatam throughout whole the night. And he used to have morning walks. Then he will come back and have his massage and lunch, full meal. He was Prabhupada could able to have his good appetite. And also he would nap after the afternoon. This is the daily schedule of Prabhupada when he was staying in Montreal. The evening, then he would meet his any visitors who are coming, or he would have a kirtan or give a short lecture in temple hall. The night he will come back, and during, I think after nap, Prabhupada used to have watermelon or something like that. After that, he would come give kirtan lecture. Then he would, the night he would eat his puff rice, fried peanuts and potatoes and slices of cucumber. So this is routine most of the time. And one time Prabhupada, he was, imagine this mode of Kulashekhara Alvar praying that let me remember the Lord at the time of death. That's anxiety everyone has. So Prabhupada expressed his anxiety. He told his devotees that in case I become sick again, please don't take me to the hospital. Simply let me chant, remember the Lord, and die. What a wonderful, Prabhupada is just, he's not only telling the shlokas, but, he's living by example. Acharya, one who lives by example. He said, don't take me to the hospital, let me die chanting his holy name. So this picture, what you see, this is the actual Montreal temple where Prabhupada, during that 1968, some devotees have taken a picture of Srila Prabhupada giving Vyasasana class. So as I mentioned, Prabhupada used to stay the apartment in the Prince Arthur Street, which is about 5 minutes away. Prabhupada sometimes would walk, and some of the devotees recollect. So since Prabhupada is moved away from US and he's staying in Montreal, there are a lot of other devotees who would come for a week from US, America, and they all would stay. Sometimes hundreds of disciples traveled all the way from Boston, New York, and California to visit him. Some just wanted to spend a week or more with Prabhupada. Others stayed on for months. Few people are stayed on for a month. Later, we will see in the episode of how these three couples who wanted to go to London, they also stayed here. I will cover that little later. So then, among them is the great personality, His Holiness Jayapadaka Swami, also came and joined Montreal, want to see Prabhupada. He was in San Francisco. Then this is the year he also, the great personality, joined, met Srila Prabhupada, who was desperate to meet Srila Prabhupada. And after that, it's a history, right? So Prabhupada had a lot of dreams. When he would walk, he would see attractive buildings. And when he saw some Sherbrooke Street, there's a beautiful, wonderful, big mansion kind of thing. Then he immediately wrote a letter, but he's supposed to happen to be a governor of general of Canada, Roland Mincher. I don't know, it's a great some personality who's a governor. He wrote to him saying, "Give it as free of cost. We will maintain it. We want to establish." Because Prabhupada was thinking Montreal as his headquarters for the entire world to come, and and of course that person denied it, but Prabhupada was not discouraged. So Prabhupada, like that, he would have a walk. He would speak on Mukundamala Stotra. He would give association to many devotees, encourage them from there, talk about the preaching mission. And also Prabhupada talked about mile-long trees, talk about the power of the sunlight. Because of the sunlight, these trees grow such a taller. So it gives energy to the entire planetary system. So Prabhupada would talk about sometime the topic about the sunlights and sun, other topics as well. So while this was going on, June 11th, Prabhupada made an appeal to the US Embassy. Montreal is writing a letter. This somehow I could able to catch hold of it in the Veda base, in the folio. I would like to read this, how Prabhupada is approaching a problem. Because his disciples are very, very new. He wanted to spend time, whereas the US government is denying his visa, order of denial. They've written a letter to him saying, we will not give you a visa. So how Prabhupada is approaching this issue? Because most of us will have this kind of issues. But see how Prabhupada is very unique and how he's approaching, and how Prabhupada is able to put his leg on other shoes. If it is an embassy person who is sitting, how he would envision what solution needs to be done. And sorry, I forgot to tell you this this theme what I'm going to discuss today, little elaborate, probably I might go little elaborate off the topic, and say how to come out of comfort zone and taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the two themes which are coming out in this Leela, in this chapter, this episode. So most of the time I'll be talking either emphasis on how to come out of the comfort zone, or we'll be discussing how any problem in the world taking shelter of Bhagavatam, how Prabhupada took practically shelter of Bhagavatam, even for getting a visa, Prabhupada taking shelter of Bhagavatam. Somebody might think, what is the connection between getting visa and Srimad Bhagavatam? I'll tell you later. So Prabhupada write this letter to the district director of the immigration. Replying your letter of May 13th, 1968, reference such and such, I beg to inform you that as per your direction, I have left Boston before June 13th, 68. 3rd June by, okay, whatever it is. And now I am staying at the above address as a non-immigrant visitor for the 3 months. So Prabhupada is, he did not go on fight saying, I will not go out, do whatever you want, I am a big leader. Prabhupada abide, his visa is not there. He accepted the fact that he has to leave the country. He left the country and he is telling how did he left, to tell them that yes, I am following your order. In your order of denial, you have clearly mentioned in a paragraph 4 that your denial order was not on the basis of my qualification of religious minister, but on your discretion for the reason that I submitted my application just after a fortnight of my arrival in USA. And as such, I was not a bona fide non-immigrant. I did not know what was the technical mistake on my part on this connection, but I honestly submitted the application after consulting your Calcutta American Consulate and our Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. If you notice of the order of denial on May 3rd, 1968, you have mentioned that there is no appeal from this decision. So they clearly told, I have denied not because of religious ground, because there is a technical aspect in your application. Second thing, you can't appeal again. They were very clear that they didn't want any Indian sannyasis to come on their land and stay. That is the intention, right? Prabhupada understood that they didn't want Indian sannyasi, but they're not telling directly. They're telling it's not because of religious status, but there is some technical issue. And Prabhupada is exactly following what they said. I'm not going to appeal to you, but he still is appealing. But in the way he's writing the letter, you see, Prabhupada is not appealing. Actually, it's appealing, right? But Prabhupada is saying, I'm not appealing as per your decision. I did not prefer to appeal on this decision, but I left USA as per your direction. Now I simply requesting you to give me the direction. What should I do next? So Prabhupada is putting the question back to them. Okay, you said no appealing. I'm not appealing. Ask me to leave. I left. You tell me now what should I do, right? And then he tells what is that he's doing it. It is a fact that I am recognized religious minister, and in your country there are 7 branches of ISKCON and different parts. This ISKCON organizes the duly incorporated in New York. I am the principal acharya of the chief minister of the organization. Prabhupada is trying to explain his position as a ISKCON ministry, and he's asking for his direction. Now, the great acharyas, Vaishnavas, they see different things, right? They see Krishna's hand in everywhere. Prabhupada was not rejected completely at all. Oh, I just started 7 temples. What will happen to my disciples if I don't get visa? There is no appealing, no one going to help. Somebody said, Prabhupada, let's take lawyers and let us fight it out. I said, I will not believe in the US lawyers. They just make money, leave it with Krishna's hand. It may be Krishna's plan. I need to go out and start elsewhere. So Prabhupada is seeing Krishna's hand. He is not just morose and, you would have told Krishna, I'm struggling so much after fighting for life. I've established 7 temples and you asked me to go. No, there is not even a slim tinge of Prabhupada's, that is a conviction on Prabhupada, on Krishna, saying that, oh, this is the plan of Krishna. Maybe I need to travel to Europe continent. Maybe I need to go and preach there. That could be Krishna's plan. So Prabhupada started planning, okay, let me open a center in London. And he started talking to Shyam Sundar and other people. So other thing is that Prabhupada writes a letter in this Prabhupada to his disciples immediately. As a sannyasi, I should not fix up at a certain places and take your service comfortably. It is not the desire of Krishna. He wants me traveling throughout the world, western part of the world. See, Prabhupada sees everyone in Krishna hand. He says, as a sannyasi, I should not come out, sit in the comfort zone. Look at Prabhupada. So much turmoil, problems he's going through, and he says, I should not be in comfort zone. He has 7 temples, there are devotees, followers. Prabhupada would have sat, Aram say he would have preached his entire, spent his life. But Prabhupada said, no, it is not duty of a sannyasi to stay. Come out of the comfort zone. Most of us also, it's very difficult to come out of the zone. When we are comfortably have some association, we could able to chant, then, we will not focus on other things. But it is our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada to spread the mission however possible, little bit risk here and there, come out of the comfort zone. Prabhupada has always made sure his devotees come out of the comfort zone. So I just, in this narration, in this pastime, Prabhupada, in the Lilamrtha, also one chapter comes where Malati Devi, this is the picture in the right hand side, you can see Malati Mataji shares his stories about Srila Prabhupada in Montreal. So what happens is after Krishna, Prabhupada writes his letter, he focuses on London. So that time Shyam Sundar was constructing a Rath cart. Second Rath Yatra festival is happening. Prabhupada said after this, you all can plan to go to London. So I was hearing this pastime about Maldi Mataji. Why I want to narrate this is maybe this is connected but not maybe elaborated in this chapter, but still I would like to elaborate little bit, because coming out of the comfort zone, what it means to come out of comfort zone. So one time I remember when my son Nandasutta was 3 months, he was 3 months, and there was in Mayapur there's opening of Panchatattva temple. I said this is the lifetime chances, and I was consulting my wife, and all my family's new relative, it is just got married, and newborn kid, and how their parents will take. If I say I'm going to take her on the train to Mayapur and we're going to go on yatra, 3 months old baby, there are a lot of commotion, and people say no, how can you do that, and things like that. But somehow convinced Krishna's mercy, a lot of struggle, we went in the train, but there are so many devotees to help and we went and stayed. That time, there is no accommodation because a lot of people are booked and not much facility in Mayapur, and they given a tent for Prabhu's one side and Mataji's one side. And night 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we reached. At afternoon, we had prasadam. I thought everything is well, and I was resting in the Prabhu's tent. Then I got a call immediately, or somebody sent a message. I don't remember I had a phone or not that time, saying that no, your wife is calling. Then I went and I said no, I can't stay here. This insects are crawling. Bare minimum facilities are there. You need to find some other place. I can't stay here. Such an austerity here. Then I have to go and find out some place temporarily arrange, and we stayed somehow, and we did that. This Malati Mataji, right? I was listening to her. Shyam Sundar Prabhu is doing a construction. He didn't had any time, so hardly sleeps for 2 hours in the same place where he constructs the Rath, and he would take few rest in case just dozes off. He could not able to uncontrollable. His wife is delivering. He would have told, no, my wife, I need to be there with my wife. I need to take care of the delivery, right? My wife said, nothing doing. You need to be there when the delivery is happening. So both the kids, I need to be there personally. And like that, no, but Malti Mataji, she got the due time. She on her own went, took the car alone. Nobody, no, none. There are a few devotees that time. She went, she admitted hospital, she delivered the baby, and within 1 or 2 hours, she said, please discharge. And the doctor, nurses were surprised. At least you need to be there for a day too, and to get strength, then you can go out. They said, nothing doing. I have some important work to do. 2 hours, she drove a car, went to the supermarket. She doesn't know what to buy for the kids. She asked the person to help. What do we for the new kids? What the generally people buy? They said nappy and few things, and she got it. She drove the car back, and she came. Shyam Sundar said, this is a baby. And Shyam Sundar called Prabhupada saying, Saraswati. That's why Prabhupada named her Saraswati. And within 6 weeks, it's not 6 months, listen, 6 weeks, Prabhupada, and 3 weeks they were spent here. They came to Montreal. 3 weeks, Prabhupada trained these 3 couples nicely on kirtan, on few things, aspects of it, and sent them for preaching. Within 6 weeks, she travels to London. There is no place to stay. There is a garage, car garage, where the Malati Mataji is staying. And she had one cotton box, like, for refrigerator or something. You have a big cotton box, right? That's just a makeshift room for her changing the dress. And it's very cold. I don't know there a heater that those days or not. And such an austerity, such a coming out of the comfort zone. I don't know. It's practically possible. Anyone you heard on the same day, she went and delivered the baby. 2 hours, she's back for the service, and she's within 6 weeks of time, she flew to London. There is no place to stay. She's staying on the garage. There's a makeshift of the cardboard box. Look at the comfort zone. And this dedication is not there. Today, there is no yatra called London. There is no yatra called Europe, right? They given blood, Shyam Sundar and Beetle. There is no Beetle. We would have not got the Beatles. That is the dedication. Prabhupada empowered them, this couple. So this is the example of how Prabhupada and his disciple are coming out of the comfort zone to give us such a benefit. Now we are comfortably, Krishna has given us everything. He has given us a money, wonderful family, wonderful devotees association. We should, try our endeavor So as soon as we endeavor, Prabhupada gives the mercy. It's just that we are not taking the mercy. Mercy is flowing, overflooding. You can overflood this entire Bangalore with so many temples and Krishna conscious places. So it's all like just, we need to just endeavor coming out of the comfort zone, trying to do something for Srila Prabhupada. So then Prabhupada, see how he's taking shelter of Bhagavatam all the time. One thing he said, London, if I have to preach, I will take books. I need some volunteers to distribute books. Prabhupada plan was that, okay, US is not working, let me go to London. And he said, give 4 or 5 men, bring all the books, whatever printed, I will take it with me to preach. So he was depending on the book again for preaching. And Prabhupada felt writing and printing books is more better, is far important than doing other activities. Prabhupada thought, executing his spiritual master order. Why? Prabhupada thought, if I write these books, even the US consulate, they read these books, then they will realize what kind of mission I'm doing. Without books, I don't want to go to London. Without books, Prabhupada, that's why he waited for long. Even came to US, he accompanied Bhagavatam. He said, I'm accompanying Bhagavatam. So then Prabhupada has always felt that moving this Prabhupada books, selling this Prabhupada books is very, very important. Then people will understand what kind of movement it is. And there is chances that he would get a visa. So Prabhupada is connecting everything to Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and depending on only on the books. He said, with the books, I will do everything. So Prabhupada literally did through books, the spreading of this mission happened. So Krishna, Prabhupada sees Krishna's hand in everywhere at any point of the time, taking shelter of the books, coming out of the comfort zone. These are some of the key lessons we can learn from these pastimes. So again, the pastime of the book continues, and Brahmananda Prabhu came from US to Montreal. Then he gave proofing of the Bhagavad Gita as well as teaching of Lord Chaitanya. So this is the Prabhupada is trying to attempt to print these books. That time he wrote teachings of Lord Chaitanya as well as Bhagavad Gita. Macmillan agreed to do Bhagavad Gita printing, and Dai Nippon in Japan, they agreed to do teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So it needs to be proofread. So he brought all the books over the weekend. Prabhupada studied personally, made a note of all those corrections, and he gave it to Brahmananda saying, I'm really happy, the pleasure in proofreading this. So I'll read exactly from these are experts from this today's chapter. When one of my book is published, Prabhupada said, I feel like I have conquered an empire. Having books in print give me meaning to Prabhupada's fight for US residency. See how Prabhupada is connecting his books to the visa. And only with these books published could he tour Europe. You want to preach? He wants books. Krishna conscious literature was sold evidence that his movement was not a concocted fly-by-night yogi dream. Let the government leaders and scholars read these books. Let the student community read them, and intelligent would be impressed. So this was Prabhupada's propagation. Actually, what happens is Prabhupada, if you see this, the US is denying his visa because there are a lot of previously bogus Indian Swamijis went. Prabhupada said, I know why the embassy is reluctant, because they also think that I'm also one of them. And Prabhupada also referring to Mr. Alan Brooke, on the television company interviewer said, he's a real sadhu. So Prabhupada said, people like that giving advertisement is really important. It's not that I want an advertisement, but I want to be distinguished from this so-called cheating Hindu Swamijis to our thing. I'm really concerned about my devotees and disciples. I don't care, I live in hell or heaven. Prabhupada made this statement. Otherwise, I'm not attached for any place, either hell or heaven. Prabhupada makes this statement. I want to serve my, people who have surrendered to me. So that is the intention I'm appealing. Otherwise, I don't have any issue with, nothing to do with things like that. So Prabhupada systematically wrote a letter, and he depending on Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita to print, so that he can distribute to, he can send a copy to embassy also. Probably would have done that, I don't know. So Prabhupada wants to take these books, print these books, and established is how is a real sadhu then compared to other sadhus. And before Brahmananda left Montreal, Prabhupada asked him to send Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd and 3rd canto manuscripts from the closed and the New York apartment. So Prabhupada left his manuscript there in 2nd, 3rd canto. He asked, once teachings of Lord Chaitanya is printed, I want to give to Dai Nippon to print this Bhagavatam as well, more copies. So speaking to Brahmananda and others in his room, Prabhupada charged them with the organization of book sales. Prabhupada was emphasizing this book sales because that is the only thing which can spread this movement. There would be no scarcity of books, but his disciple would have to sell them. Prabhupada said, number one, make a stock. If you want to distribute books, first step is getting the books and keep eating it wherever you are. If you don't have stock, you can't distribute. First thing is Prabhupada pushing these printers to get as much as book printed, number one. Second thing, go and sell, organize them how to sell these books. Prabhupada and Brahmananda discussed plans for starting their own printing press, perhaps in Montreal. Prabhupada is not having a visa to stay a place. He just started. There are 6 or 7 centers in US. Prabhupada has already started thinking having his own printing press, keeping Montreal as the headquarters for the world, and so many plans Prabhupada had. So with the cost of printing so high, Prabhupada wanted some of his disciples to learn the techniques of book publication. He suggested that one of his disciples in New York learn to run a press and some of the girls learn to compose type. Thus, in future, he might be able to start his own press in some convenient location. So Prabhupada is a visionary. So, it just, Prabhupada, I don't know, amazing how he can envision all those things. And he wanted his own printing press, which we have. So that is the high level pastime. Now, most of the next chapter or episode moves focuses on Govinda Dasi, who is Prabhupada's servant, who is serving. We all know that the beautiful paintings of the Bhagavad Gita, that time also Prabhupada engages her in the Montreal to paint all these beautiful, wonderful coverings for Bhagavad Gita. And I think for Krishna book, Radha Krishna paintings, and one of self-image of him sitting below the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, like that. A few paintings she did initially. So this more focuses on the pastimes with Govinda Dasi and Gaurachandra. This episode continues. Probably we will see how much I can cover today. Probably I'll be able to cover a few. Then next chapter somebody can the continuation can do. So it was one quiet afternoon in Prabhupada's sitting room. Govinda Dasi, she was cooking for Prasadam. Prabhupada, she brought the plate. Then she saw a small baby rat running across the floor. Then she immediately dropped and started chasing the rat. And Prabhupada also got up quickly and he's also started chasing the rat to catch that rat and throw away. So then immediately Prabhupada saw one more rat started coming. Then the visiting devotees, they all had commotion, they just took a shoe box, tried to catch the rat because they don't want to kill it and catch them and leave it somewhere else. So later Prabhupada walked into the room of where Gaurachandra and Govinda Dasi were working and told them, if you keep everything clean, the rats wouldn't come. If someone is very much attracted to his dwelling, then he may take his next birth in that dwelling as a cockroach or a rat. So Prabhupada gives a very, very, philosophical answer to them to make them understand why the rats are there. Rats and cockroaches are, especially, they are too much attached to their house. So if you see any rats or cockroach in your house, you know that that soul is previously attached to this house. This living sinful living entities, and they are taking their birth because that attachment. He then asked Shivananda to steal up the cracks on the floor. This is another important lesson to learn for us, to take away that if we are attached to our properties and things like that, we know what will be next our life. So moving on, so again, the lot of chastisement Prabhupada would give to Govinda Dasi, hard time, because it's serving Prabhupada is not that easy, because it's easy, but Prabhupada want to correct them, teach them. And the picture on the top you see, she is Govinda Dasi. So sometimes he would criticize mistake and she would go and profusely cry in the bathroom. What to do? I could not able to serve Prabhupada. So generally Prabhupada has puff rice in the night and also fried peanuts. One time she made it really, really black. And Prabhupada said, who made these peanuts? And she started crying and said, why are you crying? Because you're angry at me. You're not able to express, you're getting angry. Then she said, no, Prabhupada. I am crying because I'm not able to serve you properly. Like that. And Prabhupada would chastise her, and she gave her Prabhupada dictaphone to someone else, God sister, and she broke it. And Prabhupada really became furious, and he said, "Your American boys don't know value of the things, and you keep breaking it, and you think that you can buy from the shop. And one person should handle this." Again, he chastised Govinda Dasi for giving the mission, dictating mission to the another god sister. So Govinda Dasi took the chastisement as a test of her sincerity, and she had learned that Prabhupada thunderbolts were generally followed by his usual kindness and gentleness. And this Prabhupada disabled Westerner was imagining, 78 years old Prabhupada is really heavy on for sacrificing their life, and they're trying to dedicate and they're trying to learn and trying to do it, and Prabhupada was so heavy. Imagine. But they never felt that it's Prabhupada chastisement as, if somebody would have told us something in the temple or something confrontation, then they said, get lost, and I will not come to the temple. That's what our reaction would be immediately, at least my reaction. But look at these disciples, how much they have completely dedicated their life to Srila Prabhupada. When we were in Montreal, it was Srila Prabhupada's birthday, and Govinda Dasi expresses that in a wonderful pastime that she want to make a cake like a Western style Prabhupada. They don't know how to celebrate Vyas Puja, so she made a beautiful cake, and she put the candle, few bunch of candles, and she lit it up and said, Prabhupada, you can offer it, and you can wish, like the Western world, you blow the candle and make a wish, it will happen. So Prabhupada said, all right, accepted, and he blew the candle and he made a wish. Then Govinda Das asked, what is the wish you made? He said, I wish only for Krishna's service. The Mukundamala Stotra, Acharya pray that life after life, let me take shelter of your lotus feet, nothing else required. That's essence. When we read this Mukundamala Stotra, especially, right, so much inspiration comes for us taking shelter of the lotus feet. How this Acharya is convincing faith on the lotus feet of the Lord. It's all exhibit. So Prabhupada is exhibiting the same thing, saying that I wish all the time I want to serve the Vaishnavas and take shelter of the Lord. So with this, I would stop here. It is 8:50. Probably devotees can add, correct me for their reflection and corrections. Rest of the things can be taken up in the next session. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me if I spoken anything in my capacity, in the enthusiasm to deliver this message. Kindly forgive me, keeping thinking as your son. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, if you have slides, we can go on for another 5 minutes. Otherwise, we can ask our devotees to share reflections.
Prabhu, reflection.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class. Actually, it was very nice to hear Srila Prabhupada, Lilamrtha after quite some time. So I think the 2 points that you highlighted, one is coming out of the comfort zone and taking the shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I think it's a very, very important lesson. And the other important point which I really liked was how Prabhupada actually, responded when his visa application, permanent residency application in US was rejected. That's quite innovative, really. Prabhuji, if possible, can you just show that letter one more time, Prabhuji, while other devotees speak up? I want to read it. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was really, that's why Prabhupada actually in each and every aspect is unique and innovative. Is unlike other people and also other acharyas. He's quite unique. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was wonderful class. Thank you for bringing out such details. If I read it alone, probably I would not have gone through this level of details. But this shows your taste in reading Srila Prabhupada, Lilamrtha, and relishing it. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that taste and relishment with all of us.
Hare Krishna, Gaurachandra Gopinath Prabhu. So
Hare
wonderful. I think a lot of lessons we can learn from you, you itself. The way you narrated, so nice, Prabhu. Thank you very much. And finally, I like the way disciples of Srila Prabhupada, how they took chastisement of Srila Prabhupada and continue to serve. You gave your own example. I have applied to me also. So nice, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat
Yeah,
Pranam.
I would repeat that. It was really a wonderful narrative and it's a very deep understanding, not just reading. That was really nice because Prabhupada lived and led by example. And when we talk about the faith we should have and everything, Prabhupada lived it throughout his life. I mean, there's not an occasion when we can actually say, or maybe he was having some doubt. And it is so beautifully at every stage he has done. And the second aspect is also from a point of view of his disciples doing the same thing. I think we are very fortunate to actually have them. But yeah, we can make best use of it. I can make a better use if I can go into the deep reflections of how they are leading today as an example. Then I can make a very small progress or step
Yeah.
ahead.
He had a heart attack year back. He's been moved out of US. You don't know where to start other centers in London. You will get a visa or not. He's not printing, still fighting for his books to be printed, established himself, writing books, and he was fighting with Macmillan and Thayadimpan to print his Bhagavad Gita and teachings of Lord Chaitanya to come. This is the beginning of the book. And imagine he's thinking about the headquarters, having his own printing press, the plans Spot Prabhupada did. Unimaginable, unimaginable.
Very true. And maybe this is what we call it as a spiritual anxiety than a material anxiety. I mean, the way he's putting it, he's not seeing from other point of view. How many centers will come from like, how can I serve better and make my spiritual masters, his instructions, how can they be turned to action? Thank you.
Throughout the Prabhupada, I want to share one more reflection. Throughout Prabhupada Lilamrtha, what we see is that Prabhupada actually comes across, obstacle after obstacle, calamity after calamity. From his, childhood, Grahastha days, and then during the Sannyasa days, and then when he goes to US, every time he, comes up with such a big obstacle, Prabhupada just turns that into a stepping stone. And what we see is that his innovative approach and his strong faith in the Shastras and his Guru's instruction, whatever the obstacle that appeared to be an obstacle, that has become a grand success later. He just used them as a stepping stone. That was really, really amazing, Prabhu. And his disciples also followed, the same steps. What you said about Her Grace Malati Mataji is truly inspiring. I can't imagine somebody, who gave birth to a baby and then leaving the hospital in an hour. My God, unimaginable, Prabhu. Really.
And Sham Sundar is so committed. You would have told, oh, my wife, let me help for one day. No,
Yeah.
he is working under pressure deadline and he has to complete Ratha. And kind of dedication he does. And she never complains about it, Look at their commitment to Prabhupada.
Perfect.
His
Perfect
first
match.
baby is first baby is getting delivered and she needs help. And he said, no, Ratha Yatra, let me do it. You manage yourself. Imagine. Oh my God. This is unprecedented, bro. Unbelievable.
Perfect husband, perfect wife. How they are totally in unison in serving Prabhupada.
Oh my God.
Mission. Amazing.
Even perfect disciples.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying that they're even perfect disciples to have that sort of a dedication to like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanus Pranams. It's a wonderful class, very thought-provoking. Each time when I hear on Srila Prabhupada's, the pastimes, there's this one aspect that comes out, and it was mentioned also. It is about how the disciples of Prabhupada gave their life to Prabhupada. So at this point, just to increase the churn a little bit, I have a small question for you. Prabhu, just wondering, see, is it the disciples who bring glory to the Guru, or it's the Guru that brings the glory to the disciples? It means because of the Guru, the disciple is glorious, or is it because of the disciples that the Guru is glorious? I mean, if you can just give some points on that, that will be very nice.
Bro, I don't know. Probably this question I would reflect to other senior Vaishnavas to answer. I don't think so. I never thought through in that angle. So right now I'm not able to think as well. But one thing is that Prabhupada is definitely a great Vaishnava and he prayed for his spiritual masters. And when he saw his disciple, one thing he said, these are all sent by my spiritual master. There, some of them are eternal associate. He himself told. Iswarna Jayapataka Maharaj is eternal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can't put time and circumstances placing all the disciples are bringing glories to spiritual master. Like me, I'm a useless rascal servant. I can't even understand his mood. So that way, it's a combination of both. Sometimes for the mission, Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela is now also happening, Sankirtan moment. It's not that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, the Leela is over, Chaitanya Charitamrita is over. Chaitanya Charitamrita part 2 is happening now. Anywhere any Sankirtan happens, that's Chaitanya Leela is extended. So there might be some pure souls will come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, every town and village it will happen. How it will happen? Somebody has to come from spiritual world to happen this. So some souls will be keep taking here and there. They'll be spreading this. Same time, it is purely for our mode, purely for especially for me to depend, think that always we are not servant, we're not qualified, and it's just pure mercy of the Vaishnava Guru is what the disciples could able to come out. The mode of the acharyas, our parampara is always dasanu, 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 das. Even though they are exalted Vaishnavas, they never think that they are the great disciples for their Guru. The mode should be always, I am the insignificant servant of the my Guru. Because of my Guru, the glories are coming. If that should be the mood, bottom line, because that's how the acharyas showcased, that's how acharya behaved. They never the time they said I am greater than you. That never happened that in any of the Shri Vaishnava Sampradaya, or let it be our Gaudiya Sampradaya. There's so many example exalted Vaishnavas, but they think that because of a guru, or even Bhaktistan Saraswati Thakur, such a scholarly person, he begged to Gaurakishore Das. Babaji is saying that he is illiterate, but that is not the qualification. So the glories came because he could able to speak to Krishna. He can give. Now this Krishna Bhakti, nobody can give. He is such an exalted Vaishnava, but he's always showed the mood. It's through the Guru's mercy. So underlying thing is that always we should be in the mood that it is Guru's mercy, it's happening. But we can't judge. This is only applicable for us. In terms of judging others, we should think them they are all maybe sent by Prabhupada, maybe sent by Lord to propagate this mission. That way we balance it out, but others can have.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Nice, wonderful examples again. And yes, I think I totally agree with what you're saying. So thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
So it is 9 o'clock. Should we end? Saraswati Mataji, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think there are no other reflections or questions. Saraswati Mataji has just mentioned a comment. Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for the wonderful narration and discussion. Thanks for the last answers. I think with this we can end today's session with Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha
Kalpatarubhesya kripa
Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Srila
Namaha.
Prabhupada ki
Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrtha ki jai. Hare Krishna devotees, I will be ending the Zoom session. Krishna willing, we'll meet again tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.